Welcome everyone, it's Gray Shirt Guy, rocking the gray shirt as always. Today my shirt actually says fueled by spite and carbs because this is going to be a spite-filled episode. We're going to be talking about all the changes that are in the new Guard Codex that's been previewed over the last few days. The previews came out yesterday, today is Sunday, and I watched all through a bunch of review videos, and there's a lot of positive spin on the Guard. The Guard do look good. The overall consensus is the Guard are good. I'm going to focus on the things that the Guard have left behind, thrown away, or changed. And the worst part is there's entire armies that I have fully painted that are now no longer playable. They're no longer legal. And I have to go out and completely rechange them just to be able to field them, let alone field them on open war, or let alone to field them in match play. I have to change them completely. So we're going to be talking about that. It is a bit of a spite-filled episode, and yeah, let's kind of get into it. All right, so let's talk about the first thing. So command squads. One, if you weren't aware, command squads are now going up to 28 millimeter bases, or 28.5. Essentially, all the new command squads that come out are going to be on 28.5 millimeter bases. Same with the Kasrkin squads. Now, from what I understand, the Scions are still going to be on 24, and the regular, even the Cadian shock troops are on 24 millimeter bases, so you won't really have to change that. What you will have to do if you have command squads, older command squads, you will have to either update their bases, put rings around their bases, or you'll have to figure it out. That's more for tournament play, because I do know that GW's official stance is just play with whatever base the model kit came from. But at a certain point in time, you're going to have to update the bases if you want to play in a tournament play. Now, they do have little rings you can get. You can 3D print them. Some people sell them, so you can just kind of update it. You can just put your old model on top of a newer size base, which kind of raises your model up a bit. You might not want to do that. There could be some line of sight issue concerns with that. Or you can just snap it off the old base and slap it on a new base. But that means you have to go out and get new bases, so that is a bit of a frustration. The second thing about the command squads is you can no longer take multiple of special weapons. So the command squad now is, you have to take a commander, which is fine. Like normally when you take a command squad, back in the old day, you used to take the commander used to be in the command squad, and then they made the command squad just 4 dudes that could take whatever they want, and then the commander would follow them around separately. So I don't mind taking the commander, the command squad. There was a period of time though where we had just platoon commanders just on their own. So that is also another change where you just could have a platoon commander, which was super cheap, and they were just like on their own. Not anymore, they have to be in a command squad. That's a restriction that is a little annoying, and that really actually hurts my Mordian Iron Guard. So you've seen, if you watch the channel, you've seen my Mordian Iron Guard, and we had 3 platoon commanders just on their own, attached to an infantry squad, just giving them orders, and it was really, really working. Now I have to get more models that, or print them. I might print them. That are the same kind of, because I had these like little cat girl ones. I might have to just print more regular like infantry ones and make command squads for my Mordians, which I might do. But our command squads are going to be primarily cat girls. So if that's what I have to do, that's what I have to do to get the Mordians back in a legal framework. So that's the only main issue with that army. Then again, that army is primarily made of Victoria miniatures for the Mordian Iron Guard, so that was not a tournament legal army unless the TO let me play with third-party models. So that's more of a loadout issue. Like, even if I wanted to play that in open war, I can't now because I have to get command squads. And so I either have to order from Victoria miniatures to get some more individual squads, which if I have 3, because I always was going to field the 3 commanders. I have 9, but I was only ever going to field them in units in just 3. I wasn't ever going to field all 9 of them. But now I have to go out and order, let's see, that's 4, that's 12. So I have to order at least 15 because they come in packs of 5 or packs of 10. I have to order 15 Mordians from Victoria Miniatures, so 3 packs of 5, just to have enough bodies to make, and then those only come with, well, they do come in, well, then I'd have to order special weapon sprues for each one of them. So it is an additional cost to make the Mordian Iron Guard army legal again. Now also, I don't know about points changes yet. I haven't really looked into points. So the army as it stands, I might need to reconfigure points. So the Mordian Iron Guard army, not currently viable with the new Codex. I have to do some rework with it. It might actually be over points or way under points, so I'm not 100% sure. So that's the immediate frustration with that army. And that's just on officers. Now you could, if possible, I don't know what the restrictions on the Castellans, because the Castellans are single HQ choices. So that's a problem where I don't think there is. I mean, I could probably just say those are commissars and then just like, okay, these are my 3 commissars, but that's taking up 3 elite choice slots. Not 100% sure how it's going to work out. So there are some concerns with the Mordian list to start with. All right, moving back to the regular command squad. Since I can't take multiple special weapons, I have 2 Cadian command squads. They're not, one's fully painted, like this one's fully painted, where it had, and this was a pretty decent tactic back in the day. You would either do like 4 flamers, or what I did was I had 3 flamers and 1 melt-a-gun. And they would ride around in a flamethrower chimera, which is flame hull, flame turret, and they would just pop out and they would just like sit somewhere to harass somebody or just be a road stop, and you had your platoon commander with a power fist and like a bolt gun or whatever you wanted. I think on mine I had a power fist and a las pistol. But I can't do this anymore. So these 2 command squads, one that I have fully painted and looks awesome, can't field anymore. I'm either going to have to get more, which they're going to look different unless I tear apart one of my other, which I really don't want to do. Yeah, it's just going to be a pain to have to reintegrate these into different squads. I could theoretically, how many I got? I got 8. I could take the heavy weapons out of my infantry squads. Okay, so there's a mild possibility. Take the heavy weapons out of my infantry squads, because I have 6 infantry squads. Add these to them because they have 6 grenade launchers. And I could integrate those into the 6 infantry squads, and the heavy weapons could either be heavy weapon teams by themselves, which are 3 heavy weapons, or I could, so there are ways I can kind of jury rig them around a little bit so I can still use them, but they're not ideal anymore, and they're not filling their original role of just being kind of like a harassing special weapons unit. And it's frustrating. All right, moving on over to, I don't know if you can see this, but we got our pile of just things that are, yeah, okay, so we got our pile of things that are just no longer in the rulebook. Just things that are dead. So we got the old Yarick model, the original old metal Yarick model. We got the newer Yarick model, this is the Finecast one. We got Pask. Pask is gone. Pask isn't in the rulebook anymore. I'm still gonna put him on top of a Punisher tank commander though. I'm still using this miniature. He'll just be a tank commander. You can still field these as commissars, but commissars can't even take power fist anymore. Like I have a beautifully painted power fist commissar that's in the Mordian Iron Guard army, and I can't field him anymore because, well, I mean I could field him, but like what, I always got a power sword or something like that. Like, I can't field the model, and someone's like, well, it's WYSIWYG, you can't take that one because there's no power fist anymore. So that's a little annoying, depending on who your opponent is. Hopefully, you never run into an opponent that's that way. Crusaders, I have 4 Crusaders. So these were kind of, the 4 Crusaders were in my Scion army, because I thought it was kind of thematic to have, like, within the Scions have some Crusaders. As far as I know, Crusaders are only legally viable now in Sisters of Battle. We got the older Psychers, the Wyvern Psychers, I think is what they were called, or I might be mispronouncing the name. Those Psychers are gone. So I guess I could use them as Primaris Psychers, I guess. I don't even think they're in any other army. Maybe they show up in Demon Hunters. I don't know. Yeah, so these ones are all gone. Yarick's gone. I still do plan to see if I can try to slap this Yarick model on top of that stupid horse just to make that modification, but I don't know if it'll fit. And I don't know if I want to break this model apart to do it, because it's the only one of this sculpt I have. Let's see, Creed. So I have a third-party Kel and a third-party Creed from Victoria Miniatures. You probably can't see them very well, but I'm not going to be zooming in for this video. This is mostly just me ranting. But this was my Creed and my Kel, and Kel's gone. So, I mean, first of all, these are third-party models anyway, so they probably wouldn't have been able to use in tournament. But like, yeah, Kel's gone. Now, it's funny enough, this Creed was a female version of Creed. We got Ursula now, but I think Ursula's on a much larger model with a much bigger base. So I think she's maybe even a 32 or 40 millimeter base. She might be on a larger base. So yeah, these guys aren't allowed anymore. Back here, I have 6. Well, so I have 4, and these are like little modifications I have. I have 4, and one of them is in the case. Vestroyan snipers. So snipers are gone. You can't take special weapon teams anymore. Special weapon squads are gone. Look, I know that a lot of these weren't viable, but they were units that I had models that filled in roles, and I was happy with them. But you can take them now as ratlings. So what I did is I have, and you can take them in command squads as a heavy weapon. So I made a command squad, a legal command squad with my Vestroyans, and threw a sniper in there. And so these extra snipers that I have are going to be ratlings. So I'm going to run them as ratlings, but ratlings are smaller models, harder to see. These ones are taller. I don't know. Let's see, Master of Ordnance. Now, these 2 that I just recently painted, they look really nice. And one of them was they're both gonna be for my Talarn, but I wanted to paint one up as my Cadian color scheme, just to kind of like, potentially if I want to use it with my Cadians. Now, I have to attach it to a command squad. I can't just have a Master of Ordnance by itself, hanging out with the artillery. It's not gonna work. So it's a minor inconvenience. Well, it's actually a major inconvenience points-wise, because now I have to dedicate a full command squad just to take the Master of Ordnance. The Master of Ordnance is really good, so it's just more of a rules restriction that I have to do. When realistically, the Master of Ordnance is just a regimental advisor. They come in a pack, so I don't know why they're doing that. That doesn't really make any sense. They could just be by themselves. They could be standalone, but I could see it sort of like, well, when we made them standalone, our elite choices were constantly being eaten up by them. So there is that. Possible. You could have made it to where they don't take a Force Org slot instead of attaching them to a command squad, but whatever. Command squad is mildly more thematic. I understand that. But yeah, so we got Master of Ordnance. These are some ones I just made up. Scions. You no longer are allowed to do like the Scion command squad with 4 Meltas or 4 Plasma. You cannot take 4 of any same weapon in the Scions, which is frustrating. So what you can do now, and I don't know about the Scion command squad, but because I didn't look at that super closely, but with the Scion, the regular infantry squad, you can take, if you take a 5-man unit of Scions, because you can take a 5-man unit still, if you take a 5-man unit, you can take 2 special weapons, but they cannot be the same. But if you take a 10-man, you can take 4 special weapons, and 2 of them can be the same. And this is harkening back to what's in the kit, which is really frustrating for older armies. So now, luckily, I have enough Scions, and because for the longest time, I actually didn't know that Scions could take 3 special weapons. So I only had an army. I only had a 10-man squad with 2 plasma, and so I think I have enough Scions that don't have special weapons to where this is okay. This is fine. There's a unit that I don't have on the table. It's a unit of veterans, which veterans are gone. You can't take veterans anymore. So I had a unit of veterans with 3 melta-guns, which was the thing you could do with veterans back in the day. You could have 3 special weapons, and it didn't matter what they were. They could be the same. So what I had to do is now those veterans are going to count as Casterkins, but Casterkins can't take a bolter. So what I had to do is I had to... the sergeant had a bolter and a power sword. I had to take the bolter off and replace it with a plasma pistol. And then for one of the melta-guns, I had to put it in the freezer, snap that metal off. And that broke in a lot of places. Luckily, it was super glued back together. And then I had to put, now it's 2 meltas and 2 flamers in the Casterkins, because you can take, just like these guys, you can double up special weapons in the Casterkins, which is interesting because I don't know if maybe they're still kind of allowing play for the old Casterkins, which had metal special weapon sprues. But I thought the new kill team didn't have 2 of each, but I could be wrong. Maybe the new kill team is just 2 sprues, a 5 and a 5, but you have to take a 10-man squad with those. So that was a little annoying. I had to convert my veterans into Casterkins. All right, whatever. Next thing, Sentinels. Sentinels are going from 60 millimeter bases to 80 millimeter bases to accommodate the new beefier Sentinel model, which is frustrating because my old smaller Sentinels could easily fit between a lot of buildings, a lot of terrain, And now I have to put them on bigger bases. More than likely, I'll just take this base and stick it on top of another base. Or I don't really want to put a rim around it. So that's mildly frustrating. Oh, another thing. I had this beautifully painted and beautifully converted Catachan command squad with 3 flamers and a heavy flamer and Strachan, and it was like so good in close combat, and so good against hordes and everything. But unfortunately, now I can't run that. I have to take 2 of the flamers out and replace them with with regular Lasgun or other command squad units. That's frustrating. And the main reason why I made this video was I was going to wait until I actually had the physical codex in my hand. But one thing that I didn't realize until just about 20-30 minutes ago I was so full of spite when I heard about it, which is why I spawned making the video, is basilisks. So basilisks are no longer squadron. Basilisks aren't squadron, wyverns aren't squadron. Hellhounds aren't squadron either. I have 3 hellhounds. Luckily, the 3 hellhounds, I always took them as their own dedicated fast attack slot anyways. But that's frustrating because I think ooh, that could be a problem. I think my Catachan army might actually be not legal for multiple reasons, because it was not legal because it was air cav and it had 4 Valkyries in it. So it might actually not be legal anymore, because unless I take a battalion or a brigade, because I was using a Hellhound squad and then I was using a Sentinel squadron. Actually, you know what? I have to check. I don't think Sentinels can squadron anymore. Well, that could be frustrating. Oh, man. Man, that's going to be frustrating if Sentinels can't squadron anymore. Yeah, I'm going to go check on that. Okay, I confirmed it. Scout and Armored Sentinels can still squadron. So at least there's that. We can still take 1 to 3. Hellhounds can't squadron anymore. They're just individual, which is... I guess if you're trying to fill out a brigade and you need 3 fast attack, you could do that pretty relatively quickly. But then again, if you were doing that before, you would have just take 3 Sentinels, because that would have been super cheap. But okay, that's frustrating. I don't even know how that Catachan army is going to be loaded out now. I'm just going to wait until until I have the Codex in my hand. Wait until they update all the army builders, and I'll be able to make all the lists I want again. See, here's the main problem. And this is 99.8% my fault. I had 9 separate Imperial Guard armies. I had Cadians, Catachans, Destroyans, Valhallan, Talarn, Mordians, Praetorian Guard, Steel Legion, and Scions. I had 9. I was trying to make a Ghost one too. That would have been the 10th one. Penal Legion would have been 11th. Deathcore Krieg would have been 12. Anyways, so I had 9 2,000 to 3,000-ish point armies. Now I have roughly 20,000 points of just Imperial Guard that are all painted different, with different models and different loadouts. And I know now that you could make armies that are just combined, like I can have 10 Cadian models and 10 Vestroyan models, and like it'll work together, and you could be like, all right, well, those ones are painted red because they're Vestroyans, these ones are painted green because they're Cadians, Catachan, blah, blah, blah. So you could still mix and match different colored units. It's kind of like Eldar, where you can mix and match different colors, even if you're playing like a unified army. Like if you're like, oh, I got Striking Scorpions, so they're always going to be green, whatever you want. So you can still kind of soup regimental color schemes together, which is going to be pretty funny. Because I do remember a lot of times people getting really mad about souping color schemes together for Space Marines because they're supposed to all be the same, which I also get that. All right, where was I on my train of thought? Because I had to run away and go check that video. Okay, basilisks. Basilisks no longer squadron. And so essentially the army I was going to use for the next stop motion battle report is not match play legal anymore. Open war legal, yes, okay, so I can probably still play with it because it would be open war legal. Yeah, sort of. I might be okay. I still want to see how the points shake out, but we might be fine with playing open war with the Talarn versus the Atlantean Spears. It might still be okay. But the problem is the Talarn, since Basilisks are just one now, if you want to play a match play army, you couldn't take 6 Basilisks because the rule of 3 where you can't take more than 3 of any one unit profile. It doesn't apply to open war, but it does apply to match play, which is frustrating. Now, there's another frustrating thing. If you noticed, all of my Basilisks and my Manticore have heavy stubbers, because that's a viable option that you used to be able to take. Now, the kits did not come with heavy stubbers. You had to take them from the Chimera kit, or you had to take it from the Lehman Russ kit. So that's why they're not allowed to take them. You're not allowed to take them anymore because you had to get them from somewhere else. And they don't want to do that. They only want you to take what comes in the box, which is frustrating because I also think the Command accessory sprue might have a heavy stubber on it, which if that's the case, then you should still be able to take them. And I get it. It's supposed to be firing its main gun, and you shouldn't. And you do have the hull mounted heavy flamer or heavy bolter, so you shouldn't really need a heavy stubber on there. It's just really frustrating. My only option if I wanted to make this match play legal, well, aside from getting rid of all my third-party models for all the infantry, but if I wanted to like take 6 of these chassis to a match play tournament, is I'd have to convert 3 of them into the Medusas. Now the problem is the Medusa only comes in 2 versions now. It comes in the carriage Medusa, which wouldn't fit for the tracked version, but it does come with the armored Armageddon pattern Medusa, which I'm fairly certain I can just say like, hey, I don't have the armored version. Can I run these open top ones? Now over here, which if I can pan the camera over here, I made these a long time ago. These are armored Medusas that are just made from the Basilisk, but you can actually pop off the heads and you can convert them back into Basilisk. It takes a little bit of work. You gotta like kind of corkscrew it. And then you could have like what it's like a Nova Cannon from Lehman Russ. And you can just slide it back in there, and then you were like, all right, got my Medusa. And so, because this is back when Medusas were not only the Armageddon pattern Medusa. When you had rules for the regular Medusa, you used to be able to take this. So I'm fairly certain I could just get away with saying, hey, these are Armageddon pattern Medusas. Now, according to the current Forge World Armor of Compendium for the Armageddon pattern Medusa and Basilisk, is they're still Squadron. But they tell you to reference the Codex Basilisk for rules of what squadroning is, and that's no longer in there, so that kind of breaks the Squadron 1 to 3 rule. So I'm fairly certain they're going to do an Armor Compendium update, probably whenever the Codex is officially released. They might wait a little bit before all the newer models, because only the Start Collecting box, so the Rogaldorn and everything else, they're not coming out yet. So they'll probably go back to single unit choices, which means these Medusas right here were going to be painted green because these ones are going to be for Acadians. If I converted 3 of these into Medusas, into armored Medusas, which I don't want to armor them up, I would have to I'd have to hack the barrel off. I probably have some extra bits, some of the extra cannon bits to make them into Medusas. But if you've ever seen an actual Medusa, an actual armored Medusa, they look really cool because they have a nice, thick, heavy cannon. And I kind of don't like the Medusas that I have. I just don't like the way they look. And it's frustrating now that I have 3 beautifully painted models that I can't field anymore. Like, I gotta tear off the heavy stubbers. And that's one. And now I have 6 Basilisks, which I can't take 6 Basilisks in a match play army. In open play I can, but I still have to take the heavy stubbers off, because even in open play, heavy stubbers, they're not allowed because the unit can't take them. And it's like, sure, I can just snap them off because they're not that bad and repaint the spot where they are. So that's not that big of a process. It is mildly frustrating. It's not that big of an issue. It will make them look a little cleaner to take the heavy stubber off the front. So I'm not too angry about that, but it is frustrating that I can't take 3 of them, or I can't take squadrons anymore. Because it was always cool to have like a squadron, like fire, but not anymore. So that might be kind of it. With these 3 Medusas I have, I was probably just going to take the Medusa cannons off them because I have the Basilisk cannons, and I was probably just going to permanently glue the Basilisk cannons on them. But I've got these cool little guys that have like both a searchlight and a heavy stubber, and I'm probably just going to have to break these off and then just close the canopy. Now these ones aren't painted, so this is a little bit easier, and like, but they have, you know, they had the whip antenna, they had the hunter-killer missiles on the side, because I think these actually came in these older kits. I think the hunter-killer missile came with it, unless I got it from somewhere else, but this is the way older hunter-killer missile, which you probably can't see in the video, but they have track guards, which they can take track guards, which is a bonus. Yeah, so I don't know what to do. There's some solutions for some of this. There's just frustration all around, and I get it. I get it. At the end of the day, the new Codex is a good upgrade for play-wise and power-wise and playability, and it's a good starting point for people that want to start in the Guard. But for us entrenched Guard collectors who've had models for a very long time, like I started I got back into Warhammer making armies in around 2015. So but I played for a lot longer before that. I've probably been in Warhammer for, almost 20 years. I played in high school. Hold on, I'm getting really old. Probably 18 years. So I've been into Warhammer for 18 years. I've been into the Guard for about the last 9 or 10 years. And it's just a mild frustration. Yeah, it's just between match play rules and between data slate changes and now the new Guard Codex coming out, and the way GW just kind of went away from customization to only allowing things that are in the box. It's just, it's been a pain. It's been an irritation. Yeah, so I guess I'm just going to have to go through and fix all these, which is irritating, but anyways, it's been Gray Shirt Guy. Rock the gray shirt as always. I was fueled with spite, and now I'm just kind of depressed. I guess I'm just gonna go play Total War Warhammer 3 because that's a video game, and video games can't hurt you like GW can. But all right, I got Alpha Legion for Horus Heresy left to put together, and I got other stuff to work on. I probably won't release any videos for next weekend because my fiance is visiting. But aside from that, if you want to support me, feel free. Link below to my book if you want to take a read of that. It was free last week, but I didn't post a video about it. Apologies. It goes on free sale like once a quarter or so. But aside from that, hope everyone has a good day, and I will see you around next time. Goodbye.